Hey, yo, what it do, what it do? It's your boy Q, and welcome to Championship Weekend here at the PIEA, powered by the Esports Company, and got the homie Monkey Man with me. We're here on site at DeSales University, one of our 3 live lands going on right now here in the state of Pennsylvania. We'll get Monkey Man squeezing in the scene with me as we do go along, but excited for the day. We've got 8 titles that we'll be handing out here over the course of the day across 4 different titles. You ready to get down to it?
It's gonna be a fantastic day. We got what? Overwatch, Rocket League, Marvel Rivals, Valorant. There's also some Super Smash that's happening in other locations. I think that's happening over at Waynesburg.
Yeah. We're gonna have that over the Gamer Q, I
Yes.
think, channel all throughout the day, actually, as well.
Yeah. So a lot of things that have to happen. D1 and D2. I think we're drafting a little bit between Penn and Colonial conferences. Should be really fun. Some upsets happen along the way into some of those semifinals, but there's also some big dogs that literally just have been holding the top of the rock ready to go.
Yeah, I think especially when we talk about this first matchup here, we've got Penn Manor here on site with us at DeSales. Of course, they are playing against Reach Cyber, a usual remote sort of school, so they're at home at their usual locations getting that thing taken care of. But I actually got to talk with the comments as they arrived on site here today, and actually was talking with Shoonem, their IGL, was asking me who they wanted us to see a little bit of on stream. Shoonem, usually kind of the standout star of the comments, and I gave him a little bit of advice, and the first thing he said to me was, we'll talk about it at the end after the interview. So a lot of confidence being displayed from the young man here, who is looking to continue to add to their trophy case over there at Penn Manor. They walked away as Fall Brawl champions, but they know what it's like to fall short. Last year, state champions, we were talking about a little bit before we kicked off, they were kind of seen as that top dog. I think overlooked some of their competition, fell short in the semifinals. So I'm sure as far as for today and this year, making sure that they don't make those same mistakes.
It was a game 5, a squeaker. It was so back and forth whenever eventually they fell to South Fayette, who were the eventual state champions.
Yeah.
They ended up 3-0ing. So this is a business left undone.
Yep.
I think they want to be able to get this accomplished, be able to just finally win out, get into that elite sphere moving into the spring. What a way to be able to do it, especially with what I think like 11 days before the end of the year. So find some momentum, find some heat going into some fantastic January timeframe. But as we're getting into it, we will find ourselves moving over into Control. It is Nepal. It is about as cold there as it is here. I went 200 miles to make it over to DeSales University. They went about 20 feet to log in. So hopefully they're a bit more frosty than I am.
Should be a lot of fun to get down into Penn Manor, a team that generally I feel like is used to being able to control the pace of the game. No pun intended, of course, as we do head off to Nepal here to get things started. And one thing I always really like to see is the battle of the tanks. Me being a tank main in the past, I always like to see that square off in the front, the Orisa versus the Malga. Malga gets absolutely deleted right off the rip.
That is not what you want to see, especially if you're trying to be able to establish some level of early control, especially if you want to find that tracer, because what Shoonem is going to be doing is hunting the backline, especially with that pulse bomb. But this sets the line of delineation of where you are in the middle of the map, and now you really can't enter for free. They have to be able to get that Wu Yang to move forward if they want to be able to use that wave, push them off site.
Gotta give a big shout out to Shoonem. I said I wanted to see some tracer, giving it to us. Game number 1, a player who has the ability you were mentioning to be able to get to the back line and really just cause havoc right up off of the rip. Already going to be able to find themselves one, and with the help of Big Jiffer and Wild Baller, that's another team wipe as the Comets have come to play.
It was kind of a pseudo team wipe whenever your Malga initially fell and no one was able to advance onto the map, and now everyone getting in there. Devout has to do the same thing that Shoonem is going to be doing today. That pulse bomb will find big value. You have to get that Death Blossom to really find some massive picks as well. But so far, so good. The Comets are soaring. The Rockets, a little bit not quite off the launch pad.
Maybe not enough gas in the tank here. It is early, so maybe a first map might be just enough to get them awake, but they're going to have to get the really control quick, fast, and in a hurry, because if there's anything that we know about Penn Manor is once they get the control, they very rarely relinquish it. As far as for now, Shoonem taken out, so that does mean there's a chance for Reach Cyber, but you can see as far as Big Jiffer alongside Wild Baller, the two of them, the dynamic duo, will still keep control for Penn Manor.
That was all of a sneak thief moment for the Rockets out of Reach Cyber, because you had Loch Nessie that was actually dropped out first. They were able to regain and get back onto site, but even that fight was staggered out because they hyper-focused, getting your band out of the way, especially with that Malga that really hasn't been able to establish much. You have the Terra Surge online alongside the Overclock. If they combine, though, this one's going to be a death knell, especially with the Kitsune Rush ready to go. The Comets ready to surge.
See what kind of play they can make. There's the Terra Surge coming in. How much damage can you find as well? And at least for now, Reach Cyber doing a great job of being able to keep themselves on their feet. You're using both of those ults from both support players and actually turning this fight around. There's a chance Reach Cyber might take this point.
It is. It's going to be very scrappy if they're able to do so. You do have 4 go down. That's going to be IJV that was already out of the fight a little bit earlier, so they're going to rejoin the rest of the Comets. This is a huge moment for the Rockets to finally gain some ground because they have honestly been bullied for the early interim of this map number 1. Remember, you got a lot of extra play to happen today on this best of 5. The Overclock is also online for Mega. Want to see if they're able to actuate that one for the Rockets.
This is where I get to do that. Well, actually, it's a first to 3. But we'll talk about that a little bit. As far as for now, it is Wild Baller who's on the high ground. Will eventually drop, and it will be Luck Messi the first to fall for Reach Cyber. So a little bit less as far as support to try and keep the rest of the squad up, as you will see everyone else start to fall like dominoes. Shoonem on the hunt in the background, as well as Wild Baller standing tall on the point, as it will be Penn Manor back in control.
This is going to be a rush team fight. You have 20% left to go. It is not on double ticks like you would find on Flashpoint, but still that means you have to play double time to be able to get back to this choke point. This is going to be a tough one. You do have several ultimates online. Your band has to be able to get that cage fight, and they need to do it on site. If they can be able to do so, might be able to give themselves a chance. They're going to teleport on top. You got 5% left to go. The Death Blossom is coming through. I think they're able to mitigate a lot of that damage, though. You're going to have half of this site covered by the cage fight. They only got 1 man captured.
Oh, this is tough, though. You've already lost so many players. Your band, the last one left alive. And while he might be a chonky boy, when everyone's focusing fire, that health bar will quickly deplete there. And Penn Manor will take point number 1.
That was fantastic work. It was Penn Manor that knew that they had to launch basically not just through the choke point, but basically a straight line. And you can't take on multiple fronts when you have a 5% time window to work with. So we go to the second portion here of Nepal and Reach Cyber. The good news is they've gotten that first kind of point underneath them. They understand the pacing that Penn Manor is trying to be able to play, but Penn Manor is not batting an eye about how they want to control the at least positioning from out of this one. Who wants to be able to step over the middle of the temple first? I think Penn Manor wants to leap out there, especially now they switched to that Shoonem on Symmetra.
The Symmetra change is quite interesting. I feel like Shoonem, known to have the deep hero bag, actually was just a little bit of a fakey as we'll be chasing back and get the teleport on in, get some right towards the point, and well, we'll get right into the mix of things. And it does seem like Reach Cyber stepping into the plate, and I think looking to actually stand their ground this time around.
Wild Baller has been so well supported by all of Penn Manor, but now as you actually get them pushed backwards, again, it's going to be the first tank gone as your band, and quick to follow is Loch Nessie and Devout. With Reach Cyber losing out on their main Malga man, that means that they're going to be just so vulnerable in the middle of their entire composition. So Penn Manor knows they have to be able to get the dude from Hawaii right out of the way.
It feels like for Penn Manor, they're running, I guess for any of my basketball fans out there, it's like a box in one sort of defense. You got Shoonem, who's kind of off doing his own sort of thing, but then the other 4 are just like this death ball on point. And they're doing a great job as far as target prioritization as well, which allows them to take down the supports and help as far as who's anyone at least in reach. And then Shoonem just doing what they do best off of the distance. We're really seeing why the squad has been so dominant for so long.
I like to call it the yo-yo, but this is, instead of a push and pull, this is a push and a push. You got the Wu Yang and you've got the spear that come out of the Orisa. So constantly thinking that you're taking that 1 step forward, but it's 5 steps backwards. Now being caught from off flank. Shoonem has that pulse bomb ready to go. They're not going to quite use it right now. They want to clear at least one. They're going to use that distract to be able to get themselves out and off of there, trying to be able to just zone people away. They actually miss on the pulse bomb. So that's actually a massive move, but still 50% here for the Comets.
A great job though of Wild Baller then being able to push right on in where everyone else is at, and basically clean up the mess and continue to push this squad back, already up to 60%. And while Reach Cyber is already back to the full squad, and we'll be looking to push towards the point here in just a moment. it nearing 70%, you only get really one more clean team fight here.
Yeah, this is looking like it could be a 2-0 here to start off on control, because you've got the Terra Surge, you've got the Wave about to find out or come up onto the Wu Yang, and you've got the Kitsune Rush. They're going to go all in for it to be able to get that dive. That means that they're going to be trapping them in one place. The Terra Surge captures all of one. They have to use that beat drop just to be able to survive. They do lose at least Devout. That means your DPS is low. So is your Mauga. It seems to be a tale as old as time, and unfortunately for the side of the Rockets arrived.
There's Mauga that goes down, and once the beefy boy falls, the rest of the dominoes tend to as well, as both supports fall, and yeah, already up at the 90%. The overtime wick has been lit, and while you can say that Reach Cyber definitely was able to meet with some resistance against the Comet map number 1, it's still Penn Manor server, and Reach Cyber is playing on it.
Unfortunately for the Rockets, that second team fight, you had the initial opener that was just directly for site. The second fight was so localized off-site whenever they were trying to go through that sideways corridor, they never got a chance to truly challenge, because everything else then boiled down to one last moment that they had built up those first ultimates for. So a single ultimate team wipeout of the Comets over the Rockets, showing that even if you prime up a rocket to try and take down a Comet, it probably won't save it from crushing her.
Well, now we got to figure out where we're off to next here.
That's true,
man,
yeah.
Because map number 2, you're talking about in a best of 3, or first of 3, best of 5, however you want to call it. Map number 2 is where you can at least find your way back into things. Now you have the control to figure out where you're off to if you reach Cyber. The reality is, when you get dominated that much on control, probably not looking at a flashpoint, right?
Yeah.
So the question becomes, do we look towards hybrid? Do we look towards push? I feel like, again, because of how much control in the team fights we did see, for the most part, you're probably also going to avoid push, at least right up off of the rip. So where are you feeling we were off to next here?
Personally, I think the majority of ability for them to work well together was in kind of a flank mindset, so playing away from point. I want to see it happen on Escort. I think Escort gives you a lot more opportunity to try and be able to at least advance a position. I know push is kind of the same, but push feels kind of unfair at times depending on whatever the spawn point is, right? Based on them getting those extra checkpoints. But I feel like Escort would actually be a good move, and I would actually work it on Dorado. I think that Dorado on that kind of just basically working some of these clear dog legs and choke points might allow them some chances to really actuate with the Mauga if they choose to stay with it. But maybe also take a page out of what they're doing with that Orisa. Maybe take a tank that's able to kind of stand to those corners, because it feels like Mauga is just not getting big value.
Mauga's kind of been in this weird spot, was in a strong position. I don't know. I guess maybe was that a year ago or so, had been at a point where you saw a lot of Mauga. But since that change, I feel like Mauga has still kind of been more of that comfort pick. And yeah, while at D1, we still see some of the comfort picks. Once you get to this point, this late, where you're playing against players of the caliber of Penn Manor, players who have been here, you know, semester after semester at semester, at the end of conference championships, state championships, it's no longer about comfort picks. You do have to start really kind of playing into the meta a little bit more. And I do think the Mauga change is probably somewhere you have to look off of. And I do think you're right. I like the idea of going with more of a dive comp. The question is, do you feel comfortable bringing out something like a Winston or something like that, where you can play into the back line a little bit? The problem is, then you're also still kind of playing in. You're playing into the strength of what Penn Manor does. Shoonem loves to get in the back line while generally solo versus playing with a tank and a damage player. A dive for a dive can sometimes leave your support wide open, and against a team like Penn Manor, they'll punish that quickly if you make that mistake.
I mean, with the way that they were already so hard anchored onto the band onto the Mauga, I feel like you have to take a chance at that, especially if you're doing the first to 3. And if you're trying to counter what might still be a hard stuck Orisa concept for the Comets, why not go in over to a Sigma? Sigma is such a great duel against the good Orisa, because you have to take so much of that extra damage. You can be able to build that up into more of a shield, as well as be able to just counter with a damage reflection. So I feel like you could take a chance and go a little bit slow, maybe not full dive. You could actually just kind of snowball to side. The problem dealing with more of a slow idea is at least shooting them plenty of time. So you got to be ready. So it's kind of it's the small baby elephants surrounded by the big parent elephants. It's just seeing if you can protect everyone with it.
I always am a big fan of seeing Sigma. I feel like my dad, a pretty strong hero out there on the server. Can't say that you don't see the family resemblance from the side profile.
Course, yeah,
but
that's true.
yeah, I agree. I think if you are looking at more of that concept of maybe not so much of a dive, but more of a brawl sort of composition, you can play around the shield. You have that ability also to maybe potentially find like a Shoonem and hit with that big rock. Let him sit down for just a second, find the pick, and maybe there's a chance there. I do feel that if we go to escort, Dorado probably on the table, maybe even a Rialto. Something tells me though, if I had to guess, we're probably off to Midtown. There's been something about Midtown all season long. It's a home and native for a lot of our players,
which is fine. I mean, I personally am I fell in love long ago with Hollywood hybrid. If we end up going that direction, I know that it's probably the chokiest of choke points whenever you have to get through the big gate and everything, but that's when also teams kind of show a little bit of their luster about how to move, not just through or around, but over. Sometimes I know that right now we're in a state of the game that aerial portions of it, especially like especially pharmacies are gone. You don't get much of the divas out there, but it does look like, with all intents and purposes, that in fact Q was right. We're going Midtown when we're gonna go straight into hybrid.
Don't get me wrong, I like saying that I'm right, but there's some times where I really wish that I wasn't, you know what I mean? And this is probably the perfect example of that. Mostly because, yeah, for Reach Cyber, you go to Midtown, it gets you back to something that you have a lot of comfortability with. Well, I hate to tell you that, pretty well every Overwatch player has that same sort of comfortability. So that means all of the players over on that Penn Manor side feel the same way. So if you are going to go to something like a Midtown where you're used to seeing that, you've got to come in with an ace up the sleeve. There's got to be something.
I've seen. Depends on how they want to take this brawl, because you're going to narrow it to the initial dogleg, and then you have those two options of how you want to be able to circle that square. And as soon as you get past that, your final obstacle to finally getting to site is that main bridge. So we find how they're going to kind of navigate through that portion, and so you can get real scrappy, especially some teams even go over into a Baptiste May. Sometimes that kind of works out. Then they ignore it and they go completely over the competition by just hitting a diva with it, and they see what that's going to turn into. So for the time being, it's kind of a wild guess. I feel like I'm going to see an Orisa on the initial challenge. I don't know who's on the defensive side to start things off.
Yeah, that's always the big question, right? I mean, I feel like if you're Penn Manor, you're probably not worried about it being on one side of the server or the other to start things off. But it always is an interesting dynamic, because if you are Penn Manor, well, if you start on the defensive side, you can probably set yourself a pretty quick finish line to be able to get across. Whereas if you start on the offensive side, you do kind of have the ability to almost like that extra demoralization, take the wind out of the sails even more for each time, because not only will you more than likely full push, then you get to show exactly how stark the difference is, how little can you kind of hold Cyber Reach on their push here, and then you heading into that last and final map, and Reach Cyber's really left scratching their heads.
Yeah, that's where things get a little bit squirrely, especially, and again, all this momentum runs right now with Penn Manor. Penn Manor knows that they are kind of the big dogs with lots of expectations onto their shoulders, and that would be such a chip on the shoulder as well for this kind of team. This is a team that in the semifinals last time around, they were so close. I think it was like a 2-1 in game number 4, and then they just could not get anything done going into game number 5. This time around, they won the Land of Steel. They've got themselves, I think, perfect through this current season. Now it's about what do you do going forward. It looks like Devout is still sticking where they want to be, so this one's all going to be, can the Rockets find their way forward?
Yeah, this is tough. It does just feel like, as far as for Reach Cyber here, it's tough to, it doesn't look like they're making much of a change. You got Devout, and that's about it. And otherwise, I mean, I feel like they're still kind of stuck, kind of putting kind of questions together and trying to figure out where they want to make some changes. Because if you go with the same team composition, it doesn't feel like, it feels like you're doing the same thing expecting different results here.
Well, we're gonna go into game number 2. See if we can work our way forward. We're stuck with the Malga, and Malga's how we're gonna be. So we're gonna take this fight from distance. Underneath this bridge, you can find some good positioning. I like that they're gonna go at least a high into a low. They've changed all of one Life Weaver, so they don't want to stick into that Lucio, but right up into the craw, Wild Baller has gone over to that Diva. They know they can be able to abuse them from either side of the bridge.
I really like the Diva play here. You do get that little bit of extra verticality if you want to be able to make the play as well. And now the question becomes, when Malga presses forward, how quickly can you punish? Looks like maybe got caught overextending. Connor Zombie gone, as well as Loch Nessie, as everyone else will continue to fall in succession. Wait a minute, though. There's someone tagging the point just in the back. However, not enough to be able to get a full third for all for naught.
That's going to make this the slightest of stagger. Now, the good news is Devout has been definitely off lane, so it's not the biggest issue. You're going to have your Sojourn. You're still going to have your main baller power right in the middle of all that, but still, they need to build up these ultimates quickly. Wild Baller is already going to be close to a nuke, and Big Jiffer with Shoonem much the same. They've got the wall. They've got the overclock here in about 30% or so, and so much of this fight is going to be localized to this, going to be mid underneath bridge. They got to be a pick somewhere. IJV is going to be hiding right behind backline, and so will Clancy. You're not going to find these supports overextended.
I think what's interesting here is we'll see some teams, when they have like established a level of dominance the way that Penn Manor has, they tend to play the other side of the bridge. Penn Manor is almost forcing Reach Cyber to make the decision of where do they try and push into that final spot towards the point where otherwise Reach Cyber just takes the fight if they're pushed up kind of where they're at here. So I really like to kind of see the push and pull method that Penn Manor is showing, and it's showing a lot of discipline here as well.
Because they're just raw checking it. They're face checking it off of their Malga, and with all of the shielding that is happening, especially from their Diva, the Diva is just, all right, I'm going to absorb every single bit of this, and then you have Big Jiffer ready to go to throw you in with a big shot straight to the face. So now you got Shoonem on the wall. They're going to split this land in half. That'll extend them upwards. Big Jiffer on the overclock, ready still in their back pocket. They're able to get at least rid of the Life Weaver. That means everything begins to snowball away. You're back to about maybe 3 team fights if you can be able to find this position. But again, it's just about hanging on to the site.
Yeah, and while you might be trying to get yourself that bonus third, then you kind of put yourself in this awkward position where you're one player short of this next team fight. Reach Cyber has to reach on back and fall back to regroup together, and this is just time that's wasted. You were mentioning at the 130 mark, maybe 3 team fights. This is essentially taking one of those right off of the board. You're down to 2, if even that. That's only if this is a quick fight here.
Kitsune Rush comes out for the side of the Rockets. They do have the Life Weaver ultimate. They're going to try and get that cage up as well, so there goes the Life Weaver. They've given them some extra heal, and they're going to double down against them with the beat drop. They have Wild Baller so low, but they now get DMAX. So that means all of Penn Manor is very vulnerable. The nuke comes out. Devout much the same. But Big Jiffer and Shoonem are out of the way. The Rockets might have finally got themselves positioned in sight.
There's a chance here, DMX, once again, and your band will push forward to make sure to seal the deal as well. And well, they're at least 1/3 of the way on through, and I do think that will be just enough to be able to unlock the card. The question now, oh, hold on, maybe not. They just found a touch. There's a chance, however, because Shoonem quickly gets put down to the ground. So they'll be able to at least give it a little bit of extra time. The question is, how far can you push it from now?
Whenever they utilized the Symmetra wall, they extended that lane forward, and that was the first time in the entirety of this game, in the first, 2 to 3 minutes, that Penn Manor Comets have actually overextended. They found themselves vulnerable, and when you rush up like that, you are allowing your supports to get caught. So eventually that did happen. Band was able to grab his cage right at the last second, just after they invested into that Tree of Life, as well as the Kitsune Rush. So it was a great counterplay by the Rockets. Now they have time to begin pushing this car forward.
About halfway there as far as the first point, but this is the next big choke point, because this is where Penn Manor can use that high ground and almost act like shooting down at fish in a barrel, and your band, Loch Nessie and Connor Zombie, will all fall. So Devout and Mega have to retreat on back. Again, this is a point where more time will continue to dwindle away. We're already back down to darn near 100 seconds left on the clock. Reach Cyber, you only get probably 2 more good fights here if you don't win one of those.
Yeah, then you have to clearly be able to make it around this without just completely being drubbed down in terms of damage. Everyone's able to stay backwards, and that's exactly why they're trying to zone them up this high ground tough to be able to do that. Shoonem is going to use their wall yet again and force them to come over the bridge. You have the Kitsune Rush, maybe up in another 15%, but they got to keep the Kiriko alive. They've already utilized the overclock, and Mega now is completely out of firepower. They're in plain sight. There's a chance for them still to be able to get staggered. I can actually hear them through the wall as we're saying it's go, go, go time. They're now going to use their own Kitsune Rush.
The green light has been given, and while Big Jiffer might have fallen, Shoonem and company will continue pressing on forward, and we'll try and stagger out these last couple, because while, yeah, Mauga might be back in the respawn alongside Devout, it will be a little bit more time before the next three can join on in. And what a big team wipe here for the Comets.
This is the same exact ult position, though, that we had the Rockets last time, that they were able to burst, get the site, and even get this cart unlocked. They have the Tree of Life. They're going to have that Kitsune Rush. Ban just needs to not die, and they might be able to cage them into another fight. And Nuke is going to be online. This is literally an echo of what we had about 3 minutes ago. We're going to use that Kitsune Rush, and it's time to get the job done. Can the Rockets fly?
And to be able to push around the corner, as well as be able to push against these four players that are all within the high ground. You can see Devout quickly tries to push up there to at least be enough of a distraction. The question is, did you get caught overextending? Mega will at least fall. But Jiffer has been taken down on the Penn Manor side, so it is still the 4v4, but now Shoonem will be able to use the ultimate. That should be enough to separate things here and take down this final fight.
A third wall goes up. Shoonem is saying, you may have dropped the cage, but you're trapped in here with me. A laser beam for everybody. Trying to use that Death Blossom, but they simply snuff out the seed and put it back in the dirt. Overtime is where this cart is going to die. Penn Manor knows what they got to do to win game 2.
Pretty solid finish line here for Penn Manor to put up for themselves. Reach Cyber will definitely be challenged with making sure Penn Manor don't even get that first checkpoint unlocked, which is I would say quite the rare sight for the Comets. But hey, anything can happen. Every run does indeed start with one. I would even say for Reach Cyber, probably push things a little bit further than things were looking according to those first couple of team fights. Let's see if they can turn things around to the defensive side.
And I like that Penn Manor, even, you know, this is the championship here for the fall, and they are still taking big moments to not completely play safe. You had said a moment ago, they're playing that very tight corner, forcing them to go to that fight, and Shoonem's like, you know what? We've done this part of the playbook. Let's open it up. Let's peel another page. Let's try to be able to use my wall. Let's see what vulnerability that we have to take on also to force the issue against Reach Cyber. We are already seeing Mega change over. I don't know if this is going to last, but over from that Sojourn to the Ashlock. Nessie away from the Lifeweaver instead directly to the Mercy. And then Connor is on to the Baptiste. So they want to play upwards. Band is also going to go into Annihilation Central. I wonder if this stands. They're all the way having to play some defense, so this is going to get us into a scrappy fight.
Yeah, they have really thrown quite a wrench into things with as far as changing up their composition. I love it. Let's see if they can cook. Something tells me that they're going to have to do so quick, fast, and in a hurry, because if you allow this Penn Manor squad any sort of momentum here on the attacking side, I don't know if that cart does stop pushing forward. It does really start here with this first fight. We see Reach Cyber sitting back in that same sort of defensive situation that Penn Manor was in at first, and well, Penn Manor actually sitting a little low, at least until they push all the way to the back line. Great play by Wild Baller here.
This is a great position as well, because as soon as Wild Baller is onto the direct side, everyone's going to flex away, and that's going to lead the course for the Comets to be able to go and get some picks. In fact, your band already out of there. The Ramatra, not even a chance. That means that everyone is going to begin to follow. They have to be able to flex away. Otherwise, the Comets are going to have a free 350 on the clock. And it's Loch Nessie and everyone else that is finding this so difficult. And look at the stagger that's beginning as well. They are trying to keep contact, not allow this first third to occur. That's just meaning the Rockets are now playing away from each other.
I just didn't know who's the tank. Is it Shoonem or Wild Baller? We saw Wild Baller turn the corner. I think it was 3 Reach Cyber players were all trying to chase down Shoonem, and to no avail. Shoonem able to stay up on their feet and, well, unlocking the payload here with 5.5 minutes. Only needing to push this thing 90 meters. Reach Cyber need to hold the line.
You know, I've always wanted to be in a fire truck and the hull make it go loud, but it's also deafening and roar whenever it honks out there. And that's exactly what Penn Manor is going to be doing here very soon. If reach does not stop them, because they're going to try and make this initial dog leg pay off. They are not anywhere near their ultimates. Opposite of that, Big Jiffer's trying to be able to build up into something. You do have your band that's going to go full fist fight mode, but he is just meeting so much contact and unable to do much more than just stand the test of time.
Both tanks sitting low. Your band technically getting a little bit more help from the support, but all these ults getting invested. The question is, who is going to be able to come out on top? It's the fisticuffs here for your band, but it ain't gonna be enough. You can't bring Fist to a gunfight, as Penn Manor will continue pushing forward.
Doomfist would like to say otherwise, but you are very much correct in this situation, as your band and everyone else gets pushed away. This one is a fast-moving truck, and it looks like it's on the highway and not just a byway. This one is going to be Penn Manor that might be able to take it directly underneath the bridge. One last fight left to go. Reach Cyber has to stand on that line, because it looks like the comments are just ready to take over. You've got the mech back on. You've got the overclock and the Kitsune Rush ready to go as well.
You see on your screen here, the square is exactly where this thing needs to go. This is probably the last fight, especially as Wild Baller has their ult that they have yet to pop. Big Jiffer already popped the window. There's going to be Wild Baller's ult coming into play there. The question becomes, can your band stay on their feet and continue pushing back this Penn Manor squad? At least for now, they're able to do so.
They baited out the Annihilation form, which means that that one is now gone and away. It took forever for it to be able to build up. You do have the rally cry as well with Connor Zombie onto this Brigitte, and they're going to pop it right now as they see them going over the top of the bridge. Penn Manor seeing if they can be able to fit in this one right on the back line. They have found them with a flank, and there's only 2 players left remaining. Everyone else trying to be able to stand. Shoonem has to hide all the way back. It doesn't matter, because Big Jiffer's doing big work, and they're just sighting them down. That one will clear the way to victory. They do have 1 man around the corner, but I don't think that one's gonna matter.
Big Jiffer calling the Big Swiffer, coming in and cleaning things up here at the back end of this map. And, well, Wild Baller is gonna be able to get right back into the mech as well. However, big shout out to the Brigade here to be able to do it at least enough to keep things alive here for Reach Cyber. It felt like there was a point where Penn Manor was finally going to be able to push things across the finish line. And while we may very well still be nearing that point, man, are they showing some fight.
They're showing some guts, some checks, and Connor Zombie making it look like day 1 Brigitte. Ash is able to get at least one, as Mega will give him a headshot. Devout finally takes out Big Jiffer. I called it too early. I thought that perhaps they were going to clear out that last support, but I forgot how media good Brigitte can be. We have 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Is it all for content, or is it all for not?
Didn't want to push it this far just to come this far, that's for sure. For Penn Manor, 2:15 is plenty of time. You just need to make sure you don't overextend. This cart's in a dangerous situation, being down in kind of this place where Penn Manor pushes down and basically becomes the fish in the barrel. But Devout already down. Your band getting close to falling as the focus fire takes Connor down and your band, and that could very well be the beginning of the end.
They threw out the Big Bob, and the Big Bob went beeping, and that one and now is just gonna be street sweeping. It took an extra fight, just 97 seconds left to go, but the Comets knew that one was a biggie bag and good to go. They will be 2-0, and they're waiting for one more time to have to face against the Rockets before they're your fall champions.
2 maps down. Question is, how quickly can they find themselves into the third? Reach Cyber now has quite a bit of questions on their hand, because while in both maps they've seen, flashes of success against Penn Manor, not enough for me to feel confident going one direction or another on this map. I'm sure they, as much as we are here in the booth, are scratching their heads trying to figure out where you go. Midtown figured out, it seemed like a good suggestion for map number 2, just because you can get back to the basics, but I don't know what you do at this point. I feel like maybe push, because it feels like on push you're never completely out of it, because you can take it from one end of the map to the other, but even then, I don't envy this Reach Cyber squad.
I do not either. This is a tough uphill battle. You're gonna have to get through escort, flashpoint, and push if you want to have a chance at any of this. And those are the only game types left. It's got to be escort next, because push is one of the most frustrating and probably one of the most demoralizing positions in all our game types in the entirety of Overwatch 2, because it feels like you're never gaining anything but maybe an inch, because it's like, all right, we're literally the push and pull of what this entire thing is, or you're just going to get railroaded down. I would not want to play push as the next one. Escort feels like it is your linchpin of being a variable for change, being that one little map that could maybe give yourself a chance to kind of flip the script. Flashpoint is a micro BO5 inside of our first of 3, so it's also very fast. So it depends on if you can be able to respond the same way that Penn Manor has been pushing it up. But Penn Manor, I mean, the entire deck is theirs. I think it's loaded for.
The good news for Reach Cyber here is if whether there is a flashpoint or a push that you between those two that you don't feel comfortable in, we did combine them together into the map pool. So if they decide they want to go to push and then they win that and then win escort, it doesn't mean you have to go to flashpoint. Then you can then throw anything on the table as far as for Penn Manor. So there's a chance that you can kind of play around that here, but again, I don't envy the squad. I know you're thinking escort. If I had to guess, probably thinking Dorado because that's where you were hoping we were off to for map number 2. Definitely still feeling like that could be an option for me personally. I still feel like I know you're not a fan of the push. I feel like push isn't one of those that you can turn onto its head if you ride the wave of momentum. I don't think there's any easy answer here, though, unfortunately.
There's not, no. Because if you're going to decide to play Escort, you're going to get Shoonem that's going to be free, and you have to counter them with the same find of Devout. And Devout so far has just not been as timely as we've gotten out of Shoonem. And Shoonem as an IGL as well as a Symmetra player, looks like they can kind of do it all. Be a Tracer, be a throwing out the big walls. They had, I want to say, 5 to 6 wall ultimates throughout that very tight play of hybrids. So job well done to them, making sure, hey, I've got the go button for us to be able to push forward, and I've got a chance for us to really kind of separate this map. We are going to go over to Escort. It's going to be Rialto. I don't mind this. This is also kind of a death knell position because this initial bridge is all where hope goes to die.
Maybe we see the Roadhog come out here because of those couple of bridge points. Try and find yourself a hook or two. I feel like it's also one of those frontline players that gives yourself, for at least for a player who knows how to work them, a little bit more self-sustainability, which feels like could very well be a turning point because it does feel like whenever the tank goes down, that's when Penn Manor is really able to turn around a lot of these team fights because they are doing a great job of that target prioritization. And once the chunky boy's down, everyone else just goes squish.
I mean, Wild Baller probably is going to be just fiending to get back on the Orisa because, I mean, you got the spear. You're just, all right, go, enjoy the bath. Go over to Italy and have a great time. But I wouldn't also be surprised if we see a Winston. Winston leaping literally everywhere that they want to go, especially across these bridges and these major gap points. Feels like is just, a regular idea to kind of work with, as well as probably the Wu Yang with a lot of the push that you get from not just the waves, but also all of the extra shields from their general kit. Feels like that works really well, as well as Baptiste. There's a lot of maneuverability that is built into both of these teams. The problem is that Penn Manor is doing it at a tick rate faster.
Yeah, they just seem to play at a pace that makes everyone they play against uncomfortable. Yeah. And they have the ability to play fast, especially into your back line. We've seen it quite a bit over the course of today, but they also have to do a really good job of being able to play together when necessary, whenever the tide does call for that. While we do go off to Rialto, it is a reminder, it is a 1st to 3 here for our conference championship. So we could very well be looking down the home stretch to finding our first champion. Penn Manor was able to walk away with the Fall Brawl trophy for Overwatch, and it looks like they're looking to add to their trophy case here today.
See if they can be able to do it in a very quick fashion as well. But we also have our D2 finals that will be forthcoming between Elizabethtown and Wyoming Valley West to follow this D1 championship. So again, the talent that we're seeing today is really nice to just see all in kind of one place, especially across the state of Pennsylvania. So as we go prep for Rialto, is it going to be an early bath for a lot of these players? Is it going to be, all right, see you later, go to the bridge, enjoy your time bubbling down, and otherwise we're going to be able to go and grab that trophy? Penn Manor looks like a team that there was things left undone, and they want to get it done.
Yeah, I think the important thing to remember is how much of this team came back after falling so short and having that bittersweet sort of ending to their season last year. And while maybe some people would say, hey, it's just the fall conference championship, at the end of the day, everyone has their eyes set on state. That's where it matters the most. Well, I think for this team, they want to try and see if they can get a clean sweep. You know, this season we have added more land, so it gives schools the opportunity to really stuff their trophy cases, and I think the Comets are looking to do just that.
They may very well have a comet-shaped meatball of a trophy ready to go. They're going to clear up these upper railways, and already your band is looking at grabbing the hook, seeing if they can make it work from off of the hog. This is their last chance. Every step forward is elimination and the end of a road here in the fall. Wild Baller onto the Diva. That is a good, abusive, and harassing style of tank. Not at all surprised to see it.
And a lot of success on the Diva when we switched over to it, map number 2, and kind of makes sense to hold the charge, especially on this first corner. We've seen Penn Manor doing a great job of playing discipline, showing similar sort of discipline here on this first corner, not even pushing up towards the bridge. We wait for you, is what Penn Manor says, and while Shoonem may be the first to fall, the other 4 for Penn Manor are still doing a great job of meeting with resistance.
It's a great counterplay that they're prepping for. They're trying to wait for the hook to come out from band, and then as soon as it does, they're going to rush it down with the Diva, and they're going to just push so much extra damage. Now, what has happened is that the Reach Cyber has actually found 2 of these dog legs to work into their favor, even with some of these exposed angles, especially with Big Jiffer finding some targets. It has not gone well. Now, meanwhile, Big Jiffer does have the overclock ready to go, and Shoonem is finding them at least unexpectedly from the back line. You do have a big pull, but they keep focusing onto that Diva, which means all that extra push and pick is not happening. They finally get rid of the tank. Might be a chance for the Rockets to have a very early first checkpoint.
Looks like they should be unlocking it here in just a moment. Wild Baller has already been taken off of the table. Everyone else in full retreat, and Mega aiming down sight and able to find an additional one. And as Clancy falls, even less sustainability here for this Penn Manor squad as they are on the verge of unlocking this first point.
It's actually such a tough position to take from that initial gate. I think that they are all of 1.11 to be able to get it done. The whole hog is ripped out. That man's Piggy is in the mud and he's making a mess. They get one man trapped. IJV is going to get staggered away from the rest of the team. They do not get the hook, and in fact, it's becoming a little bit more difficult to get the guy that's all about beats dead on the street. Finally, Band is able to take care of business. You get a revive on a Connor Zombie. First checkpoint found with a pretty substantial amount of time.
Looking pretty solid here. Let's see if they can continue to ride the wave of momentum here on the offensive side and get things cooking. This is now or never for Reach Cyber if they're looking to try and earn what I do believe would be their first conference championship here at both TEC and PIEA, which would be a huge accomplishment for them. Unfortunately, it is Penn Manor who sits on the other side and has unfinished business like we've been talking about.
They have 4 out of their 5 ultimates with only 18% left to go to be able to get the Diva, so this could be a sudden burst and a sudden jump down. You're going to get the Valkyrie as well as the Rally Cry to come up, and that's 2 big support ultimates all the way, but in counter, they're going to use that Kitsune Rush, all of this extra focus fire, and really not much coming from it. They spend all of that, and nothing else is ready from the side of the Rockets, and you still have the beat drop as well as the overclock ready to go. So much of this fighting is happening directly onto this cart, and now they found themselves in a high ground position having to take this on.
Oh, there is the Death Blossom, but Devout does end up falling. I don't think they end up getting anything off of that as your band looks to fall back as both Mega and Devout have fallen, and so does Connor Zombie as well. Penn Manor on the hunt, trying to push the squad as far back as possible. See if maybe you can even stagger that one last player left alive. It ends up not being the case, but they've at least brought this push to a halt.
That's also why they were maintaining IJV's beat drop, is just in case they needed to use it against Devout's Death Blossom, but it was such good work by Big Jiffer to initially find them and shut them down. Shoonem has been in good support with their counter DPS to make sure that that happens. This high ground position is such a tough thing to angle up and see, because either you expose yourself on the high ground or you have to walk it out and be low, and they cannot really find these big grabs, especially with the hook that they're trying to be able to drag them down.
Shoonem trying to get into the back line and play aggressive. Big Jiffer finds one. Let's keep that as maybe even a second. Wild Baller is going to be able to find Mega, and it does look like this should just about wrap up this team fight. And what's even better news is Wild Baller still has their ult available. Shoonem just about to theirs, and Clancy not too far behind when you figure with 2 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock. Penn Manor equipped for some victory here.
Unfortunately for Loch Nessie, they returned to not much more than a microwave pigeon as Shoonem was popping them straight out of the sky, and they turned into feathers and dust. So with all of what? A Big Bob and a whole hog, you can be able to push forward. The Alari switch up by Connor Zombie going deep into their support library and seeing what they can get out of it. I don't think they're going to have enough to be able to get that outburst. See if they can. But the Kitsune Rush is being used for a second time. The nuke is ready to go. You've got the wall ready to be prepped as well, and they use it in combination.
They can find Tier. Big Differ and your band will be able to at least work together and find themselves one. The whole hog does get consumed, but I'm not sure how much value they were able to find off of it, as your band will eventually be falling as Mega 4 HP in a dream gets chased down by IJV. It's another team fight for Penn Manor, as they are now, well, 2 team fights away from calling themselves, or having a pretty sustainable finish line.
I think it boils down to all of one, because all the extra time is going to go from travel, trying to go from spawn back to here, and this is probably the furthest point you could be from that spawn just before checkpoint. So it's a tough position. No one is switching out. You might be able to get the outburst just one extra time here for Reach Cyber, but you've got an overclock and a very quickly flying nuke. They're going to actually get the Met to be able to come back online. IJV goes down. They have to pounce off of this.
Find a way to be able to get some extra advantages here. And unfortunately, though, Big Jiffer will drop down and look to try and make a play off of the back of the ult. Wild Baller is going to be able to find themselves one, but only one, unfortunately. Will look to try and push to the sky to get into the back line, but I don't think that's enough pressure.
Trying to be able to get this one right back on the cart. Your band wants to be able to keep them planted there, but they are separated completely. A big hog is just a big meat of HP bar, but as soon as you get rid of them, that one's complete and done. They want to get back to the water. 20 seconds. I think that'll take up at least half the timer just to be able to get them back onto the map. This one might be as far as the Rockets go.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get another full team fight at this point. It's just going to be about rushing, trying to get a touch, and, well, it's maybe not even be able to do that much. The Roadhog will be too far away. No, going to be able to get contested just in the nick of time. The only problem is, well, they get focused fire, and they get absolutely slayed on down. And while Connor Zombie has been able to find a pair, the big boy of Wild Baller still left alive. The beats from IJV will help them stay alive as well, and Penn Manor have been able to set themselves a pretty clear and concise win condition.
They've given all of a single checkpoint for each of the times that a cart has been unlocked, be it hybrid or be it escort. Now Reach Cyber Charter School, they know what's left. The Rockets have to deny this comet from landing on terra firma. Penn Manor, they know what's in front of them. Just basically get right before checkpoint number 2, and they'll be your fall champs.
What do you do here if you reach Cyber? I mean, we saw them bust out the Roadhog. I feel like that's really better as far as on the attacking side on Rialto versus on the defending side, just because you are able to play around the cart and kind of pull players into you. But it does look like your band's still going to be opting to pick things here, and they're stuck with that same sort of challenge that we did talk about when we started on hybrid, where you get to that point where, for Penn Manor, one team fight really can start to turn the tides. How long can you hold them off at this first bend?
I'm wondering if they're going to play the same way at all that Penn Manor did, by forcing them off of that first dog leg to come to them. That has not been really the way that Reach Cyber has been playing this. I think they're going to be a lot more aggressive and forward. You have Devout actually putting some early Symmetra turrets up. They may actually go and switch out, but they also could be able to just play as a mirror directly to Shoonem. Your band, as soon as they drop out, it's going to be a snowball by the Comets. They've got to make sure they are hyper aware of their HP bar, making sure that Loch Nessie and Connor Zombie can support them.
Well, ain't no more time to talk about it. It's time to be about it. Those Symmetra turrets get pointed out, put fast, and in a hurry. And here's Wild Baller looking to lead the charge across the bridge. It will be Mega up on the high ground. It quickly gets pushed away. Can they be able to stay alive? At least for now, they can.
Great play call to be able to get that teleporter up on top bridge as well. Wild Baller is all of an HP for a single tick away, and now they're going to be out demeched. So Reach Cyber finds 3 down. That's a fantastic look as well, because this spawn is going to be coming out. Penn Manor extends the card just to mid-bridge. It was that particular overextension. They tried it for a risky business moment, and it caught them off guard, but now they're going right back to street fighting.
Getting back to business here, looking to get the hands dirty as Shoonem pushing forward. Is going to be able to get back in time behind the diva there from Wild Baller, and Big Jiffer also stepping around the corner and will at least look to push this Reach Cyber squad back. And it feels like for now, Reach Cyber, I was gonna say playing a little too patient, but as I say that, you're banned a heck of a hook to be able to find that first pick, and that gives them the green light.
They were forgetting that Mega exists. Literally was finding headshots into that previous push of their attacking side, and then the fact that they forgot that a grab could come through in the form of a hook. So that play works out. Getting a little bit too lackadaisical are the comments. You've got Shoonem with the wall available, ready to go, as well as Big Jiffer building up into that overclocked. About 2.5 minutes and less. Penn Manor in a position where they still gotta find this first checkpoint, and Reach Cyber has limited this to a lot of these street fights. Now they're trying to isolate some of these players.
They will take down Mega right up off of the rip, though, so that will give them the man advantage. And as Connor Zombie falls, even more chance to turn the corner. Yeah, the Roadhog might be able to find the hook, but it's not enough to pull them off of the map, and that means still 5 players left standing for Penn Manor. The Beats also getting popped as well, as they're right on the verge of getting this first checkpoint unlocked.
Heat drop, Tree of Life. Either side using some big ultimates. You've got the Kitsune Rush ready to go, but look how they did not get that checkpoint. 3 meters away. Overclocked with the Kitsune Rush is going to be ultra deadly. The nuke about ready to get back online as well here for the Comets. Nothing in opposite of that. You do actually have the giant wall here for Reach Cyber, as they're trying to deny them directly from this first checkpoint. This next team fight is everything. Reach Cyber might be able to set the line of delineation here.
Run starts with 1. A map win here would be huge for Reach Cyber for sure. It starts with a stop here on the bridge. However, a great team fight. Big Jiffer, Clancy, Shoonem, everybody getting involved. And not only does that unlock more time, but that also puts them back into the driver's seat on the Penn Manor side.
There is nothing online right now for Reach Cyber. You're very close to your rally cry, but that's about it. Otherwise, you have the Kitsune Rush and the nuke that can be able to be tossed over you, as well as everyone flying directly into your face as they get all that extra Kitsune magic, as they get Foxfire and more. Can the Rockets deny this next team fight? They're going to play from the same high ground, but Penn Manor knows his play.
On the high ground, seeing just how much they can withstand. Devout falls back, and we'll be able to turn the corner here as everybody lining on up, but nobody just quite yet ready to fall. And I mean, as far as for Penn Manor, they'll be able to push back a little bit, regroup, and then push right back into the high ground. This gives them the advantage, and the question now becomes, when does Wild Baller pull the trigger on their ult?
Wait it out. They at least get 1 staggered as Loch Nessie will fall, so that Tree of Life is going to be waiting. They did get the rally cry just a little bit ago, but that is 3 now. Gold joining into the kill feed. That's going to be the big bop coming up. IJV at least gets killed out. Mega's trying to stay alive, but no, they eventually get cleared. This is just going to be around the corner, about 20 meters. Can they even get back to deny them? Because this is where championships will rise.
Already gotten yourself 1 as well, and that's one of your supports. It's a tough one to find early, and Connor Zombie falls as well. And it's at this point that you know that Penn Manor will be able to complete the sweep for our first championship of the day, and they will be crowned champions for their Colonial Conference in D1.
Big D1 dubs coming through here for the Comets. Big Jiffer was finding big heads to roll, and they were doing that the entirety of this series. This is a team that definitely was destined to get the job done. They went perfect through the regular season, perfect through the playoffs. I can perfectly put that crown up on my big head.
Perfect through the semester. They were your fall brawl champions. They are now your conference champions, and something tells me they're going to have their eyes set on that elite conference champions here come the spring. And this is a team that I feel like somehow continues to get better, despite the fact that they have been sitting amongst the top of Overwatch here in the PIEA for quite some time. I feel like for some teams across a couple of our titles, they start to get this sense of complacency. And I don't know if maybe it's the second place finish last year that's put the, or not the second place finish, but the semifinal finish last year, the state finals, that has like reignited the spark. But even this year, they just continue to find ways to impress each and every time I see them.
That's what you got to do, especially. You know that the administrators, the school, the teachers, as well as just the team itself, all were looking for, all right, what did we come up short in? what do we have to get done? And it's just literally being true to themselves. A couple times they took risks and they realized, okay, all right, this is where we still have some vulnerability, but this was just not going to be a semester that denied them, especially with all the focus that they kept through the summer. That is such a hard thing to do for kids these days, is staying focused, and somehow that plus energy plus literally just being such a dog in that fight. Well, that's Penn Manor picking up your fall crown.
I think especially too on a title like Overwatch, where I feel like you're seeing so many students switching their focus over to Marvel Rivals to be able to stay on Overwatch, to be able to keep the focus laser sharp. And as much as we are talking about Marvel Rivals, this school actually has a chance to now, not only have they won the Overwatch D1, they have a chance later today to also crown themselves Marvel Rival champs for Division as well.
That's true. Yeah, they're going to be doing what, D1 against CB South. So that's gonna be a heck of a matchup.
That should be a whole heck of a lot of fun. And actually, there was a chance that CB South was going to be playing against Penn Manor here. There was actually a chance CB South was going to be able to do something that we've never seen before, which was compete in all of the D1 titles for a conference championship. But Reach Cyber did upset them. And while at times I think looked towards Penn Manor, I think the big thing here is seeing the separation for Penn Manor really in a class of their own.
But truly, they're going to be holding a lot of advantage, I would have to say. If there was a coach's poll, everyone would be like, yeah, Penn Manor's going to be taking states. So they get to hang on to that. That's another Christmas gift. They get to have our first D1 championship of the day, but the D2 is on its way too.
Yeah, we got D2 coming up here next. I believe actually before we move to D2, we are going to have our quick little interview with one of our Penn Manor players. If I had to guess, it's probably going to be Shoonem. I had mentioned I talked to them before things kicked off. Shoonem said that he would be chatting with me after the matchup. Had the confidence and displayed it out on the server. But while we get that interview set up, as well as while we allow for things to get changed over in the lab in this room right over behind on this other side of this wall, how about this? We're going to go ahead and take ourselves a quick little break. And on the other side, we'll be chatting with one of the players here from Penn Manor. We'll be right back. And we are back here at DeSales University, hanging on board with Shoonem, who walks away with yet another trophy. I feel like every time we meet in this fashion after holding it down in a championship victory. How are you feeling today, Shoonem?
Yeah, we're feeling great, man. You know, we're feeling good. Just came off a great win. Fall season was a huge success for our guys.
So I got a big question for you. You know, last year you guys were able to keep the focus. It felt like laser sharp, and then at the end of the season, unfortunately falling just a bit short. Do you feel like that's something that sits in the back of the mind of you guys this season, or is it just completely new season, new thoughts, just solely focused on the end of the year, trying to make sure you get that state championship?
Yeah, I don't think a game or practice passes where I don't think about it myself. And I know everybody's always kind of glooming over it at some point, but that gloom really manifested into a passion to want to win this season. I mean, my coach was talking about it last night. We got a new coach this year. He's an alumni from Penn Manor. Used to be part of the program for my freshman and sophomore year when we went back to back. And he's came back and really come into an incredible coaching role to just keep us focused. And we've just been on the best practice schedule, the most dedicated practice schedule we've ever had. Our focus is laser, man. We've not wavered at all. We are coming. This is only the first step.
Man, that's awesome to hear, dude. Look, when I saw you guys, it looked like that you were already locked in whenever it was walking into the LAN center. Walk me through a little bit of it. You guys seemed like it was all business all the time, especially when it was on Nepal with control. It was only when I think you guys started to open up the playbook a little bit. So when we went to Midtown, you had a couple plays when you were the Symmetra. Walk me through some of the big things. Was it playing ultra safe and then maybe trying some variable stuff, especially when you put the wall down and wanted to get a little bit scrappier, more aggressive? Were you getting bored out there having to play so safe in some of those corners?
Yeah. So we were trying a little something new there. I think the symmetric comp is going to be a strength for us soon. We really just started playing it this week, I think.
Oh wow.
We've been practicing with a lot of other comps. Well, mainly our first map, and we have some other ones that we didn't really want to pull out. But after the first map, we decided that we should work on our symmetric comp a little bit and see where we could work out the kinks. I mean, it worked out, but we found some things that we can improve on. So that was really the main focus with playing that comp.
That's awesome.
Well, I know we had talked briefly as you guys came in, and you said we were going to chat at the interview. Confidence being displayed, and rightfully so. You guys were able to come in here and handle business. Wanted to give the stage to you to shout out, friends, families, parents at home, anybody who you guys are happy to have been supporting you guys this semester.
And shout out to everyone. Shout out all the fans, the parents, the other esports teams. We got Marvel Rivals and Super Smash Bros. Coming to play in their finals today at DeSales University. I think we're going to be coming home with 3 trophies today, But most of all, shout out my boy Elijah DeFord.
Let's go, Elijah.
I love it. I love it. Well, big shout out. I think we've got your coach jumping in with us. Shoonem, we'll definitely be looking to chat with you hopefully again come the conference championships in the spring and maybe even states.
Oh, I'll see you then, man.
All right. All right. Well, now we'll be able to sit on board here and pick the brains a little bit of Coach Steele, as Shoonem had talked about, a former alumni now coming back to step into the coaching role. Steele, kind of talk us through what it's been like in the first semester in your role. Did you find it hard coming back to being able to be, I guess, more in the leader role, or was that something that you were kind of able to regain the reins of quickly as a former alumni?
So when I was back when I was on the team, like Shoonem said, I sort of started to come into this kind of coaching-esque role, like on the gameplay side of it. We still had our coach Lloyd, and he was like our actual coach. But
right,
as far as gameplay went, me and Shoonem have always been like the brains of it. So coming back, that's what I was trying to provide, and I mean, one of the struggles I had coming into coaching was the other side of it, right? Keeping all the players motivated and making sure the mental stays up. But that's something that we have really improved on. And today, I think it showed a lot because we did not falter for a second. Even when we lost fights here and there, it didn't matter. We were right back in it. I was listening to their comms the whole time. They never thought for a second that they were going to lose. And that's what I love to see out of them.
That's good energy. That's awesome. And I need to know from a coaching standpoint, there's still so many people that are still trying to figure out, like, for esports coaching, how does it align? What do you even kind of get to do? Because so much is carried by the players. When it comes to kind of your role, I mean, do you guys do a lot of VOD review, or is it like, or especially when you think you get things recorded, even if you have to record it locally, or do you kind of just press forward? What do you want to do as maybe like the symmetric comp like Shoonem was talking about, or what maybe new mechanics you want to do? Are you focusing more to the past to improve, or just kind of forward and something new you want to try that keeps people on edge?
So one thing I've really focused on is you can't necessarily care about the meta of the game you're playing all that much, because you have to focus on the strength of your players. And obviously you want to improve that. We VOD review weekly, but I as a coach, I watch back any scrim or any match we play, and I try to find what works and why it works. And that's actually how I decided on playing that sim comp, is because I think it puts Shoonem in this big leadership role on the Symmetra. And I think that's something that maybe he hasn't necessarily done that much in the past, but he's already started, like he said, we've only been doing it for a week, but he's already started to get super good at it. So that just shows how good Shoonem can be. He's both mechanically skilled, and his brain is just growing and growing.
Galactic.
Definitely been one of those players that I feel like we've been keeping our eyes on for quite some time here in the PIEA. Well, Coach, any last word for the teachers, the fans, and everybody at home that have been watching and supporting this semester?
Yeah, just thanks to everyone supporting us, and I want to say to my players, I'm so proud of them all. Now we won Fall Brawl, Atlanta Steel, and now we've won Fall Conference. We plan on winning Spring Conference and Spring Finals too, so we'll be back.
See just how many trophies they can add to the trophy case for sure. Well, Coach Steele, we appreciate your time. Definitely make sure you enjoy the celebration with your players. And I know Shoonem was talking about a couple more teams you guys are going to be cheering on later today. As far as for us, we do have to keep things moving forward. We'll be staying on board with Overwatch, still in the Colonial Conference for D2. We're going to have Elizabethtown versus Wyoming Valley West. That should be getting started here momentarily. Make sure y'all don't go too far. We'll be back right after this.